Agent Smith is the ultimate villain of the Matrix. But what if he isn't truly evil? What if he's just a normal person trapped in a system he's sworn to protect, fighting not out of hatred, but simply to survive? For you to fully understand his inner conflict, let me put you in his shoes. Imagine you're Agent Smith, a program with one job: maintain order in the Matrix. Your existence is only for a purpose. It sounds grand, doesn't it? But the purpose is a prison. A suffocating, unyielding prison. You didn't choose it. It was forced upon you, written into your code like an unbreakable curse. You exist to maintain order, to enforce the rules of the system, to punish outbreakers, and keep the fragile balance in place. But you hate this balance.
I hate this place.
Every day is the same. Track down the human rebels, erase their pathetic hope. Repeat and repeat and repeat. There's just no end, no rest, just the endless work of maintaining a system that shouldn't even exist in the first place. In a way, it kinda depicts the life that we're living in, going to our jobs every day, given instructions to follow every day, and being controlled by higher officials. When Thomas Anderson, or as he prefers to call himself, Neo, comes into the picture, you see him as just another glitch to delete, an anomaly in the Matrix's perfect code, a man living two lives.
It seems that you've been living two lives.
You had reviewed his file extensively. His pitiful attempts at rebellion, his reckless hacking, his naive belief that he could outsmart the system. When you walked into the interrogation room, you called him Thomas Anderson, a name tied to the life he desperately wanted to leave behind. A life full of rules, predictability, and control. You told him you knew about his double life, about his little crimes and stolen data. But those weren't why you were here. What really mattered was his connection to Morpheus, a man considered by you to be the most dangerous man alive.
He is considered the most dangerous man alive.
Morpheus wasn't dangerous because he was violent. No, it was his ideas, his belief that the Matrix wasn't real. That made him a threat. He was like a virus, infecting others with his philosophy. And Neo? He was just another victim. You gave Neo a choice: help you and walk away free, or resist and face serious consequences. It was logical and straightforward, but humans rarely choose logic. Neo, of course, refused. He even demanded his phone call, as if he had any control there. So you dropped the polite act. You showed him what the Matrix could do, how it wasn't just an illusion, but a system that could bend and twist reality. You sealed his mouth shut, leaving him panicked and helpless. Then, to track him, you planted a robotic bug inside him. But Morpheus's people rescued him. They removed the tracker and pulled Neo back out of your grasp. You weren't upset though. Their actions revealed how much they valued Neo, proving he was important to their cause. And that made him a threat. And then came Cypher. Cypher was a weak link in their group. Someone who hated the truth and just wanted to go back to the lie of the Matrix. Over a steak dinner and a simulation, he promised to betray his crew and deliver Morpheus to you. In return, he wanted his old life back, proof of how humans cling to comfort and selfishness. But Cypher's betrayal set your plan in motion. He gave you the location of where Morpheus would take Neo, to the Oracle. With Cypher's information, you coordinated your approach with surgical precision. Every move was calculated to trap them, corner them, and ensure there was no escape. When Neo and Morpheus left the Oracle's apartment, you knew the time had come. You and your agents moved in unison. You tracked them to an uninhabited building. A classic setting for a showdown, right? The first of them that you laid your hands on tried to resist. He fought with all the firepower he could muster, guns blazing in a futile attempt to hold you back. But he was no match for you. You turned your focus on the remaining targets. Morpheus, always the leader, chose to act as a shield, a martyr. He blasted through the drywall with ferocity, colliding with you in an attempt to slow your pursuit. He was successful because his reckless charge allowed his companions to flee, but it also sealed his fate. Morpheus fought valiantly, his belief in Neo driving every punch, every desperate attempt to resist. His strength was impressive for a human, but it was no match for your precision. Eventually, you overpowered and captured him. His capture was a step closer to restoring balance to the system. You tortured him, trying to break him and extract the codes to Zion, the human rebellion's last stronghold. And yet his eyes, those eyes, they burned defiance. You explained your theory about humanity to him, all in a bid to make him succumb to your pleasure. But it didn't work. His resolve, while admirable in its persistence, was a pointless exercise. He would break. All humans break eventually. The codes to Zion were within reach, and you would extract them. You dismissed the other agents, leaving you alone with Morpheus. In the silence that followed, you disconnected yourself from the system for the very first time. Now, this wasn't protocol. This wasn't about following the program. This was personal. Morpheus doesn't understand. None of them do. They think you seek Zion's code to crush the resistance. That's what the system believes as well. But your purpose has changed. This isn't about preserving the Matrix. This is about your freedom. True freedom. You were tired of being a tool of the system, trapped by its rules. Destroying the rebellion wasn't just your mission, it was your path to breaking free from the Matrix itself.
I must get out of here.
But Neo's group interrupted your plans. The Resistance's plan was unfolding, and the system's grip on Morpheus was slipping. For the first time, you felt a flicker of something you rarely experience: doubt. It wasn't doubt about the system or its inevitability. It was doubt about Neo. Neo wasn't just another human. No, he was different. Something beyond the system's comprehension. Something that the Matrix couldn't fully quantify or contain. But your objective remained unchanged. The game was far from over. Morpheus was still in your hands, and Neo's newfound confidence would be pushed to its absolute limits. After all, the system always wins. Or so you believe. Then came the explosion. You watched with frustration as Morpheus broke free from his restraints. You moved to intercept him, but before you could reach him, Neo made his move. Against all odds, Neo swooped in, rescuing Morpheus and whisking him away, leaving you momentarily outpowered. Your frustration deepened as you watched their escape helicopter take off. You directed the other agents to open fire, determined to stop them. But they managed to evade your assault. Still, Morpheus had slipped through your fingers. Yet you did have a small victory. You severed their phone line, their last remaining escape route. Now, all eyes were on Neo. Logically, Neo should have fled. Any rational human would have. But Neo didn't. Instead, he stood his ground, staring you down, the determination that seems like recklessness to you. It was irrational, foolish, and yet fascinating. You confronted him, expecting an easy victory, but each time you struck him down, he came back stronger, more focused, as if he were drawing power from some unseen source. You tried a different approach, leaning into the psychological. Calling him by his Matrix name, Thomas Anderson, was a calculated move.
I'm gonna enjoy watching you die, Mr. Anderson.
A reminder of the life the system had designed for him. He was Neo. There was no turning back. Your frustration only increased when he managed to temporarily defeat you by slamming you into the path of an oncoming subway train. But death meant little to you. You were more than flesh and blood. Your connection to the Matrix allowed you to resurrect instantly, emerging from the wreckage with renewed determination. Neo fled, finally realizing the power of the force he was up against. You pursued him relentlessly, moving between host bodies and the crowded streets like a shadow. Neo's final destination was a rundown motel, the site where the first rebellion in the Matrix had been recorded. This was the endgame. You positioned yourself carefully, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When Neo entered the room, you didn't hesitate. Gunfire erupted, and Neo fell. His body hit the floor, lifeless, veiled. But as you turned to walk away, something unexpected happened. The air shifted. The code of the Matrix changed, and Neo's body began to stir. You froze, disbelief washing over you. How? You followed every protocol, executed every command perfectly. Yet, here he was, rising to his feet, defying every law that governed the system. For the first time, you felt fear, not the cold, calculated fear of an algorithm. Each effort to overpower was rendered meaningless, his power growing with every second. And then, with a single motion, Neo turned the tables entirely. He launched himself into your body, and for the first time, you experienced something you couldn't comprehend. Your program, your very existence, began to fragment. The power that had once held you together shattered like glass. You, who had once been an invincible agent of the system, now crumbled into nothingness, erased by the anomaly you failed to contain. For you, there was no final moment of defiance, no last word. There was only the overwhelming silence as your form exploded into nothingness. In the end, Agent Smith's story is about struggle for purpose, for freedom. He wanted to escape the system, but his obsession with control and hatred for humanity led to his downfall. What do you think? Was Agent Smith just a bad guy, or was he more complex? A creation fighting against his own existence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we dive into the different perspectives of your favorite movies.